Hi friends, welcome to my channel, and today in this video I am going to show you SQL Server 2016 failover cluster installation and configuration step by step. So I am going to use a Windows Server 2016, the all new 2016 server, to give you this demo. So let's have some idea about my demo environment. Before moving this discussion about the demo environment, I want to discuss what is failover clustering. So basically, failover cluster, we have a feature on Windows which is called Windows failover cluster, which provide a high availability for the roles or the things services which is running on the cluster. So if any node goes down, we can resume the services from one node to another node. Like if I am running SQL Server on my node 1, and due to some power outage or maintenance or anything which need to be done on node 1, we can the services which is running on node 1 like SQL, we can migrate the SQL server from node 1 to node 2, and we can do the maintenance on any activity on node 1. When it's come back, we can add the node again in a production to provide the high availability for the SQL server or any services which is running on cluster. So the basic requirement, we need a shared storage along with all the nodes which is participating in Windows failover cluster. So we'll discuss everything in next few minutes. So here is my environment. I am using basically one Active Directory server and two SQL node here. So if you go back, so the first server is Win2K16 DC01, which is my Active Directory domain controller. Here you can see the Active Directory server, and my domain name is victorinfosol.com. If you go here on here, if I go click on local server, we can see Win2K16 DC01, and this is basically running my Active Directory and DNS role. So this is my Active Directory server, and if you go next, I have two SQL server cluster node. Here you can see SQL cluster node. So the first node is node 1, and second one is SQL node 2 and SQL node 1. So both are joined in my domain. If let's check, so this is node 1 and this is node 2. So if I go to local server, you can see the SQL node SQL-node 1, and if you go here, SQL node 2, and both are joined in my domain like victorinfosol.com. And you can see the firewall status. I have disabled the firewall for my domain network, so you can see here off, and I have done this by using the group policy. In production environment, if you are not going to disable the firewall for domain network, then I recommend to bus you need to like check the firewall ports which is using by SQL is allowed on your cluster node or not. So if not, then go and create a firewall rule to allow the SQL traffic or SQL services. So, and you can see I have basically four NIC physical NIC is connected with my both SQL node. You can see node 1 and node 2. So basically, if we buy a physical server, so I want to give you the real time environment scenario. So if you're going to buy a new server like Dell R40 610 or 710, so they are coming with like 4 NIC. Mostly servers are coming with a 4 NIC. So what we can do, why I'm using 4, we can go ahead and create a team, and then we can distribute the team along with the as per our requirement for different network like domain network and storage network, and we can define the heartbeat, live migration, everything. So we'll do this in next few steps. So this is basically a fresh server where I have installed a Windows Server 2016 standard edition, and you can also verify the RAM and disk space, which I have assigned the 60 GB disk space only. So nothing is installed for now on this server, no role, no feature. So just machine is configured. I have bring this server installed with 2016. I have configured the IP address, renamed the machine, and joined this machine in domain. That's all. These three tasks I have done on both the SQL nodes. So let's do this step by step. So you can see step by step installation and configuration of SQL Server 2016 cluster. So in first step you can see install Hyper-V failover cluster multipathing .NET framework features on both the cluster nodes. So why I am installing Hyper-V here, because I want to create, in second step you can see create a network TME and create a converged network and configure IP. So I am installing the Hyper-V because I want to create a converged network for on both the servers. So converged network, what we can do, we can use the all three NICs together, and we can share the different together for like different traffic for all the like live migration, heartbeat, and cluster network, domain network, and iSCSI. So I will give you the demo about this also in next step. So for now I'm going to add feature manager, add role and features, and click next. And here the your server, click next. And now what I want to do, select the Hyper-V role and add features, required features, it will be added. Just wait for a few seconds here. So we are getting this error. So why we are getting this error? Because Intel VT technology is not enabled on this machine. So this is the one trick we need to enable the if we want to install the Hyper-V, we need to enable the Intel VT technology, virtualization technology on your machine. So if you are using a physical machine, then you can go in BIOS setting and you can enable the Intel VT technology. And if you are using a virtual machine like from VMware workstation, just you need to go and shut down machine and go and change the processor from take here virtualize Intel VT technology enable. So I'm going to do this so you can see along with me what we can do for here. So go to shut down this machine. And now go to edit virtual machine setting and go to processor and Intel VT technology and click OK. And now power on the machine, and we'll try to install the Hyper-V role and other feature as well as. So let's wait for a few minutes to get the server up and running. So Control Alt Del to log in. And here I want to show you one thing. I am using a domain account which is SQL admin to log into both my cluster node. And if you go to server, Active Directory servers, users and computers, here you can see I have created SQL admin account. And if you go to properties and account, you can see password never expired. I have clicked here because I never want to like change, or if you want you can go ahead and change, but I don't want to expire this password anyhow, because I'm going to run this SQL server cluster services by using this account only. And also I have added this this account to domain administrator group. If you don't want to add, then go ahead and add this SQL admin account in your computer management local computer account, local computer administrator, so you are able to install and run or do any changes which is required on server. Either you will not be able to install anything, not be able to change anything. So now if I go to manage, add role and features, click next, and select your node, click next and select Hyper-V and add features. Now you can see we are good to go. Click next, and next we need to install a failover cluster, multipathing and .NET framework. So select the .NET framework 3.5 which is required for the SQL server, and failover clustering, select and go a little bit down. You have multipathing and select next and click next. All setting for the Hyper-V need to be leave default and click and specify the alternate source, because I want to install a .NET framework which required alternate source for source file. So I'm going to settings, VM setting, and I'm going to mount the installation media of server 2016 and will give the path. So ISO Server 2016, open. So here we have, open it and go to server source SSX. You can see a .NET 3.5 3 is there. So here is the path, click OK, and now click on install. So this installation will take few minutes, and also we need to reboot the server few times because we are enabling the Hyper-V role. So wait for the installation get finished. And same role and features I'm going to install on Node SQL Node 2. So log in to SQL Node 2. And I'm going to log in with the same account, which is SQL admin. Wait for server manager. So make sure you have enabled the Intel VT technology if you're having a hardware server from BIOS. So click next and select the Hyper-V, click add features. Everything looks good, click next. .NET framework, and we need to install a failover clustering, add features for failover clustering, and the multipath thing. Click next and leave the default setting for Hyper-V and go to confirmation place, specify the alternate source. So let's map the Windows Server 2016 installation media on Node 2 as well as. And copy the SSX path, and here you can see I have checked the restart the destination server automatically if required. So yes, it's required a reboot because we are installing the Hyper-V role. So let's install, click on install. So now it's running the installation for all the required role and features, and you can see on node 1 the installation is completed. A restart pending for SQL node 01. So go ahead and restart this server. That's why I have tick here like automatic restart, because it's required a reboot to enable the Hyper-V role. So now you can see it's working on features. So now you can see SQL Node 2 is also rebooting. So both server has been rebooted, and once we are able to log in, we will go ahead and do the second step, which is create NIC teaming and create converged network and configure the IP address for all 4 NIC. So we have a network IP address plan for our cluster. So you can see on both server I'm using like for node 1 I am using 201 in last series, and for node 2 202. So the domain network which is basically going to communicate with my domain is 192.168.1 series, and the iSCSI is 10.10.10 series, and cluster network is 192.168.2.101 or 201, and live migration 202. And I'm going to use the class C default subnet mask for all my 4 network, which is 255.255.255.0. So wait for a minute. So node 1 is up. Go ahead, click Control to Del to log in. So wait for a server manager. So you can see Hyper-V role is now enabled, and now we need to go to local server, and here you can see the NIC teaming is disabled. So go and click on it, and now if you go and create a new team, and it's asking for a names network team name. So you can see I have created one script to create a converged network, and if I go to script, you can see I have set the Converged vnick as a nick teaming name to recognize as in my script. So I'm going to use the same and Converged vnick and select the all for nick and go ahead, click OK. I can see it's disconnected and it will take some time to bring the team up and all the 4 nicks up. So you can see 1 nick is active now. So to run this script, I'm going to use a PowerShell IES. Go ahead and go to more and run as administrator. Yes, I want to run. So open and go to desktop and we have a script here. So before executing, we can see here I'm creating 4 nick with the name of domain hyphen vnick, iSCSI hyphen vnick, and cluster and live migration. So now you can see the nick is the team is up, all 4 nick is up, and if I go here on details, can see we have 4 physical nick and 1 virtual nick, which is basically team. So I want to go and run this script to create a 4 virtual hyper converged network for us. So now you can see the running a script and it's adding virtual nick and virtual resources. So it will not take long time. It will take mostly 30 seconds to give the all 4 nick up and running. So we need to wait for it. Now you can see it's started creating the nicks, and we have 3 nick here and 4 nick. So all nick is created, and you can see the PowerShell script is completed, and we have converged network name, and we have a source like external and Microsoft network duplex adapter. So go ahead and close this, and now we need to assign the IP address as per our given sheet, IP address configuration for cluster. So I'm going to assign it for domain IPv6 I don't want to use, so disable it. 1.201 default subnet mask for class C, and I want to configure only DNS address on my domain network, because any other traffic which is such as live migration, cluster, heartbeat, or iSCSI is not going to connect with my domain network. So no need to configure the DNS address on those nicks. So here 10.10.10.201 255.255.255.0, and for cluster we have a for cluster network 2.201. so go for that. 192.168. So whenever you are planning to for the cluster network, make sure you have address everything which needs to be addressed before making cluster networks. So I recommend you to create a hyper converged network in your environment as well as while using the cluster. So 192.168.201 and class C. Close this. Everything is done. IP config is done. Now go and refresh this, so you are able to see here the things which is, so you can see the teaming is now enabled, and we have configured the correct IP address on all 4 NIC. And now same, I want to go here and configure on node 2. So let's verify everything is installed and Hyper-V is correctly installed or not. So log into node 2 and wait for server manager. So you can see installation is succeed on node 2. So go ahead and close this and verify which service is not running. So start the service which is not running. So now you can see the Hyper-V is enabled. So let's create a team first. Go here and create team and open a script. This is a very small script, you can see and write from my video as well as if you want to write this script. And also I will post this script in my details, so you can get from details if you want. Oops, we have not selected one neck, so anyways go ahead and select once again. So wait for all the neck to bring online. Go to details, close this, and waiting connection pending, so it will take some time maybe. So now you can see everything is up and active, so go ahead, close this, and now it's time to run the script. So run as administrator. Yes, I want to run, and browse the script. Saved at my desktop location. Open, and then you can go ahead and run this script. Running a script, selections, domain network is added, iSCSI, cluster network, and finally live migration. So everything is good. Go ahead and close the script, and now configure the IP address. Disable IPv6 and 2.168.1.202, and specify the DNS address on domain network only, and iSCSI (10.10.10.202) 255.255.255.0 cluster network. Go to properties, disable IPv6, go to properties, and 192.168.2.202, and this is going to be 3.202. to 168.3.202. Go ahead and close this and refresh the local server. So now you can see the IP address is configured on both the node correctly, and now we can go ahead on to next step, which is go to backslide, create a highly available storage on a StarWind virtual SAN. So I recommend, as this is a demo, so I am using the StarWind virtual SAN. So might be in your unit production environment it can be a fiber channel storage coming from FC, storage coming from like iSCSI devices or any other devices, HPA or anything. So make sure your like storage is coming from high available HA storage. So in my case I am using the StarWind management console, and I have created one target. I am going to add two disks here, one for quorum disk, and let's create like quorum disk for cluster at 1 GB. I'm going to put in C drive StarWind folder and click next and leave the all setting default. So this is basically a job which need to be done by storage admin in your infrastructure. So as we are doing in this demo, so I'm going to just want to show you this step also. So disk 01, iSCSI disk 01, and make it like 51 GB and put it in C drive, StarWind folder. Click next, leave the everything default. Now you can see we have created two disks, two learn 0 and learn 1, and go ahead and close this. And now the next step is enable MPIO and restart the both servers. So let's enable the MPIO. MPIO enable basically multipathing, access the same storage device or same LUN by using a same time, by using more two or more than two servers. So in my discover multipathing, I want to add support for iSCSI, and if you have a SaaS devices, you can go ahead and enable. So I'm using iSCSI, so I want to as a software uh, add a software for iSCSI devices. So a reboot is required to complete the operation. Reboot now. Yes, I want to reboot now, and same I want to go here and do what mine SQL node 2. So let's reboot this also. So now both the server is rebooting, and next step we need to discover the iSCSI target and add the disk on both cluster. So we'll do this step once the machine is power, like we are good to log in. So hit Ctrl Del, log into server, and now go to disk management to see what we have currently connected with this server. So we have two disks, like 01 is my hard disk, and we have one CD drive here which is assigned as a Z drive. So let's go here and tools and launch the iSCSI initiator. So we have a pop-up here, iSCSI is not running, the service is required to start iSCSI to function correctly. So start, yes, I want this service to run every time. So here we have a target. So my target server IP address is my physical machine, which is 10.10.100. So click on quick connect. Now you can see it's coming from StarWind server 01. So click it with, and if you disconnect and reconnect it, it will give you option to enable multipathing. Yes, I want to enable multipathing. Click OK, and now if you go here, you can see that both the disk is available in my cluster node 01. So let's bring the both disk online first, and now go and initialize the disk and select the ZPT or MBR, whatever. So I'm going to select the default one, which is MBR. Click OK, and now let's create a simple volume here and put it as a queue for quorum disk. Quorum disk perform a quickest format. CQ disk is enabled here, and go to and make it like D drive and iSCSI hyphen disk 01. Next, and format the disk. Drive name is assigned, is formatting the disk currently. So now you can see D drive is also enabled here. So we have a D drive and Q drive with us, and same I'm going to map in my node 2. So log into SQL hyphen node 2. Open the disk management and launch the iSCSI initiator. to map the drive. Yes, I want to run iSCSI. And connect to the target 10.10.10.100. Click on Q connect. Yes, StarWind is there. Click connect, and now disconnect and enable the multipathing. To reconnect, enable multipathing, click OK, and now you can see the boot disk is connected. So bring the boot disk online. You can see it's taken the D drive, but drive letter automatically, which is next free available. So I'm going to make it like Q drive, and same I want to go here. Now you can see, so on both node we have a iSCSI disk is available as a D drive and Q drive. So we are done with this step, and next step is like create a Windows failover cluster and modify the cluster disk and network settings. So I'm going to create now cluster on from, you can run this from any of the cluster node like node 1 or node 2. So I'm going to run this from my node 1. So tools, failover cluster manager, so here, so we have a validation, cluster validation, and create cluster wizard. So if you want to validate, let's validate the settings first. So might be you get the idea what is, if anything, wrong with the cluster node. So add the node which is SQL, and we have SQL node 1, node 2. So I always recommend you to run the validation configuration wizard before promoting before creating any failover cluster. So next, and run all type test is recommended, so go with it. Click next. Now we have a list of fears, so click next, and now it will run the all the pre-request check which is required for here. So if you get any warning, then it's fine, you can go ahead and create the cluster. But if you have any error or any fail, then you need to go back and check your settings, check your error, and do the required needful with your cluster nodes and run the validation again. If everything goes well, then go and create the cluster. So wait for it, it will take some time, it will take a long time, like 5 to 10 minutes to validate the number of cluster. It's depend on your like cluster host speed, network bandwidth, and everything. So wait for it, and number of the disk which is attached with both cluster nodes as also. So wait for it. It's checking validate multi thing and validates iSCSI 3 presence. Everything is looks good here. So validate disk failover is test pass. So if you go above, you can also see everything is looks good for now. So we have some warning here like validate Microsoft MPIO based disk. So I know I have to enable the MPIO setting, and my both node is like accessing the both disk as at the same time. So it's good to know, and we can go ahead, and now it's, you can see it's taking disk offline online to validate the disk is properly configured as that can be used as a cluster disk. So everything is green for now, so wait for a few more minutes to get the validation complete, and then we can go ahead and check the report which is generated by this wizard, and if everything seems good, then we can go ahead and create the cluster. So now you can see the validation is complete. You can go ahead and view the reports as well as. So let's verify the report once. So if you go here, you can see everything is seems fine. We have few warning with related to network and storage. If you go, and you can see the in a network segment also we have everything successful. So we have a few warning that can be ignored for now, and if you see some, we have some generic warning which need to be considered or not. So let's create the cluster now using the validated nodes and click on finish. So it will launch the create cluster wizard. So click next, and now we need to check the like we are using 192.168.1.0 for cluster network, so put it like 131 and give the name. So I'm going to use this like when cluster 01 and click next. So add all eligible storage to cluster, click next. Now you can see it's creating the cluster for us, so it will take some time. So creating computer object when cluster 01 on domain controller. So if you go here on a servers, you can see my both node is here on a same OU. It will create a cluster object where your cluster node is residing. So creating resource type, so it will take some time. Bring the resource online. So now it's configuring the quorum disk for us, and you have successfully completed the create cluster wizard. Click on finish, and now you can see it will load the cluster for us, waiting for snap in. So now you can see we have when-cluster01.victiminfosol.com is running here. And if you go on roles, we don't have any roles for now. We will install SQL server on roles. So node, you can see we have two node, which is SQL server 1, SQL-node 1, node 2. So both node is up, and if you want to see the details, you can see here like status and every operating system detail, network connection detail we have here, roles if any roles is running. We have a disk information. Both the disk is assigned to node 2, I think. So pool and physical disk also same. You can go ahead and verify here. And we have both the disks, as I said, both the disk is assigned to node 1 and node 2. So roles nothing, network connection summary, we have all the details. And if you go on disk, we have a two disk here. So let's rename this. So I am going to mark as a quorum disk. This is going to be a iSCSI disk. So iSCSI disk 01, apply, and you can see it's assigned to in available storage. We have this is as a available storage, and go to networks, and we need to rename this network as well as. So I'm going to use the same name which I have assigned here in my as to my network next. So first the domain network, so make it like, don't need to change any setting, just copy and paste the name. So domain vinic, and second is my, you can see second is iSCSI, so copy the iSCSI name and go here, copy and paste. And here we have a cluster network which is configured as 2. So and last one is live migration. So let's name the final one, which is live migration. Also we have to make sure the live migration traffic will go from this NIC only. So for that we have to do here live migration settings and go here and pull the live migration first, add uncheck the all the NICs and click apply, and okay. So we have done with this step, and next step is like install SQL Server 2016 failover cluster on node 1. So I'm going to install on node 1 first SQL Server. So minimize it, let's close this and mount the 2016 SQL Server 2016 installation media. So SQL Server, and we have SQL Server 2016 service pack 1 full speed stream to x64 bit. So open it, you can see, and go and open the program and run the setup. Yes, I want to run SQL Server 2016 setup. So this is the final step where we are going to install a SQL Server 2016 on a cluster. So uh, we have just set up a failover clusters on Windows Server 2016, which is going to hold SQL Server failover. So uh, we have two options here: add node to SQL Server failover cluster or new SQL Server failover cluster installation. So I'm going to use this on my node 1, new SQL Server failover cluster installations. So you can minimize this. So I'm going to use this in evaluation mode. If you have, you can install your product key. So this is the demo, so I'm going to use a evaluation mode. Click next. Now we have a license term. I accept the license term and click next. And we have a few checklists here, so everything passed, and I don't want to use the Microsoft update for now. And if you want, you can go ahead and check for Microsoft Windows update, SQL Server update. So click next, and now it's copying the installation file to local drive. So this step might be takes few minutes. It's running pre-request check, so everything is passed. Like we have a cluster node, uh, status is passed. If you click here, role cluster is passed, the local computer is a node and a Windows failover cluster, so we are good to go. And we have a few other checklists here, which is seems everything is passed. We have a few warning related to .NET security, application security, firewall. So we know we have done the basic requirement for Windows failover as our Windows firewall as we have disabled it. So we are good to go and click next. And now what you want to install? So I want to install the database engine services basically. And also if you want to install anything, you can go ahead and select the things which you want to install. So I don't want to install anything a part of database engine. It will like you can see, it's by default it selected the SQL replication and data quality services and full text. So good to go. Click next. Now we have instance name here, so I want to use the default instance, which are not used to default instance, so I want to make it SQL cluster 01, and same I want to put here. So instance name is same and SQL network name is same, so click next. So specified name does not meet the instance naming rule. So basically it will not accept hyphen, so I'm going to use as a SQL cluster 01 as a default as an instance name, and network name is basically SQL hyphen cluster 0. And we can use, it's going to use a computer, basically a failover cluster object in as a computer account in our domain. So for now you can see we don't have any cluster object related to SQL cluster, so it will create this one. So click next and wait for so we are good to go and cluster resource group. So this wizard can take some few seconds. So we have here like SQL Server cluster resource group name, so we are going to use the same SQL Server, and we have available storage and cluster group both. So click next, and now it will give you the option to configure the disk. So we have one disk available as which we can use. So in a cluster you can see here we have available disk, that's why it's showing there in SQL Server wizard. So second one is quorum disk, so we can't use it, so good to go, and select the disk, click next, and we have IP address configuration. So I want to use IPv4 and don't want to use the DHCP, so go here and configure the IP address 1.232 which I want to use, and you can see here my network card is already selected, which is V Ethernet domain NIC, so everything looks good here, so click next. Now we have a server configuration, so I want to run all the services by using my domain account vector info sol /sql admin, copy it and put the password for this account also. So also you need to check here, you can't change it to automatic because it's running on a cluster, so everything looks good here. Click next. And now we have specify the authentication method, so I want to use a Windows, and I have added my SQL admin as a administrator, SQL server admin. And if you go to data directory, you can see path is assigned to D drive, which is coming from basically which is coming from cluster disk, which is here, you can see iSCSI, so good to know. And temporary DB is also going to create in D drive, so here you can see the path for temporary database, so everything looks good here. Click next. Make sure you verify the data disk drive is going to on cluster node disk. And now we are good to go, and here you can see the setting which we have just selected in this all step-by-step wizard. So we are good to go, and click on install. And if you want to like make a note of these things, you can make a note and just click on install to begin the installation. So SQL's installation is now it will take around 15 to 20 minutes to get the installation done. So let's see how much time it will take. So validating feature settings. So now you can see the installation is started. So I am pausing the recording here. Once the installation is done, it will not require any manual interaction for now. And once the everything in installation is done for SQL Server, we will come back and we will check the next step, which is verify SQL Server cluster role on the failover cluster. It is created or not. So I am pausing the recording for now. So now you can see the installation is completed. Everything succeed. Let's close this. Now if you go and close this window also from SQL Server, now if you go here on a roles, you can see we have SQL Server is running, which name is instance name is SQL cluster 01 and running on a node 1. And we have, if you go on resource, you can see the resource which is being used by this role. So we have a one iSCSI disk, 50 GB iSCSI disk. We have SQL cluster server name, which is SQL-cluster01, and an IP address, and the resources which service is running, and the role name. So if you see here, it's running on a owner node is SQL-node 1, because we have installed on SQL node -1 only. And if you go on nodes, and if you click here node 1, you can see the role is running here. And if you go on node 2, you can't see any role is running here. So good to know that. And now we are so we have checked everything is seems fine for now. So let's do the next step, which is we have verified the SQL Server cluster role on failover cluster. And now the next task is add second node on SQL Server 2016 cluster. Basically install SQL Server 2016 on node 2. So go here on node 2 and mount the installation media of 2000 SQL Server 2016. So go here and SQL Server 2016 Service Pack 1 and launch the installation. Double click yes, I want to run it. Wait for a wizard to pop up. Please wait while the Microsoft SQL Server 2016 setup process. So it will take a few seconds. So here we have a click on installations, and we have add node to SQL Server failover cluster. Click here, minimize this. Now select the evaluation. We have installed the node on SQL Server on node 1 is as evaluation mode. So click next. And now I accept the license term. Click next. Now it's running the pre-request check, so everything seems good. Go ahead, click next, and don't check for like Windows update for now. If you want to check, you can go ahead and check for the Windows update, SQL Server update during the installation as well as. So this step will take some time. So everything is passed. We have here, you can see the cluster node and everything is looks good. The local computer is a node in a Windows failover cluster, so everything seems good for now. Here you can see click next. So we have an instance name where we are going to add this node. So SQL node 2 is going to add an SQL Server cluster SQL cluster 01 node. So let's click on next. It will check for cluster network configuration. If everything goes fine, then it will goes to next step. On a C drive, you can see it's require around 1.5 GB space. It will load the network configuration settings in few seconds. So you can see it's loaded the information which is running. So good to go. Click next. And on a service account page, we need to put the password for the service account which is running on node 1. So I am going to put the password here on both services like database service and agent, SQL Server agent. So click next. Now everything good, and now we have finally need to click on install to begin the installation of SQL Server 2016 on node 2. So everything seems good. Click on install. So installation will take around 10 to 15 minutes to get this done. So once the installation is done, we will verify the SQL Server cluster role on both the nodes. So For now I'm pausing the recording here. Once the installation is done, we'll resume video from there. So installation is almost completed. You can see it will take you can say 2 to 3 minutes to get the installation completed. So after that we will check and verify the roles SQL role on Windows cluster. So give it some more time to get the installation finished. Now you can see it's removing the temporary files and everything, so deleting. So almost completed. Cluster feed over cluster name. So now you can see SQL installation is succeeded, and go ahead and close this, and also you can go and close this installation center. Now if you go here on SQL role, you can see the SQL role is running on node 1, and as we have installed SQL Server failover cluster on node 2, so we can go ahead and migrate this role on another second node, which is SQL-node 02, and we'll check it's moving or not, it's working fine or not. So let's do this. So go to resource, and you can see that everything is running on node 1. So I'm going to migrate it, move to best possible node. We have only one node, so it will migrate there only. So now you can see it's taking offline resources offline, and everything is offline state. So now it's bringing online the disk and the IP address. The name is still pending, it will bring online. And now you can see the SQL server is still and bringing online. So now you can see everything is online and node 2 only. So if you want to verify, go on nodes, and you can also verify from here. Select the node on which the role is running, and you can see from here the cluster node is running on node 2. So this is all about installing SQL Server 2016 failover cluster and configuring step by step. So I want to say thank you for watching, and please subscribe me for more videos. And if you have any query, any question related to this, please post me on my given mail IDs. Thank you once again. Bye bye.